How to distinguish between false labour, Braxton Hicks, and real labour. All right, hi, I'm Kathy Fray, and I'm a semi-retired senior midwife and a best-selling maternity author, and I'm going to go through some detailed explanation on these three for you, but it shouldn't take too long. Okay, I'm just going to read out to you an excerpt for some writings that I did because it's just easier. Okay, many women experience the relatively painless, harmless Braxton Hicks tightenings through their entire pregnancy. These are practice contractions, which are usually 1 to 2 minutes long and can be 15 or 20 minutes apart, and they're not strongly painful. That's the thing with Braxton Hicks, is they're painless tightenings. They are sporadic timing wise, so they are completely devoid of any kind of rhythmic pattern, and they don't tend to increase in intensity, and often they will weaken or strengthen if you get up and move around, or you stop and start and sit down. So often the busier you are, the more of these painless tightenings you get. But then as soon as you lie down on the couch and put your feet up, they stop. So those are Braxton Hicks. All right. Now, about 1 in 5 women experiences something that we call false labour, and which is it's a bit more than Braxton Hicks, in that the tightening contractions can be mildly painful, like, I guess, equivalent to light period pain. So everybody feels those uniquely differently. And these mildly painful false labour contractions may run regularly for a while, but without any significant change to the cervix, and then they fizzle out. Now, initially, if it's before 37 weeks, so if somebody starts to have painful regular tightening contractions, regardless of their strength or their length or their frequency, if you're under 37 weeks, that should always be treated as a threatened preterm labour. So you definitely want to be on birthing suite and getting assessed, depending on how preterm you are. Sometimes there'll be used some medications to try and stop your womb contracting, to try and prevent giving birth to a premature baby. But you can always tell if false labour is real labour, and that's simply because it doesn't go away and you carry on dilating and you have a baby. So it's a retrospective thing. It's impossible to really tell at the time that false labour is false. You can only conclude that after the event. And it is a sort of uterus rehearsing. But in general terms, if the lightly painful tightenings are irregular, then they tend to be a little concerned, but you still need to be assessed if you're under 37 weeks. Okay. If they are a sort of deep, central, regular pain, sort of like above your bladder, above your pubes kind of thing, and it's central and it's regular and it's going, it's got a rhythm going to it, and it is distinctly painful, well, that's labour. It may not be established into active labour yet, but that's latent labour. Now, for women who do have regular bouts before 37 weeks of what could be or should be getting treated as threatened preterm labour, so they have these kind of bouts of having some contractions, and then they stop, and then they're back and they stop. They can be what we sometimes will just call an irritable uterus. It's not really a diagnosis, it's just what we kind of nickname it. And I remember one client in particular who had a 6th baby with me, and they had shifted to the area. I hadn't done the other hadn't assisted with the previous 5 babies, but the 6th baby, and at 32 weeks, she went into threatened preterm labour, and all the bells and whistles are going, oh goodness, we're going to have a pre, and she was so laid back, and she's going, nah, all my babies do that. They've all done it at 37 weeks, and then I go past 40 weeks. So she was so relaxed, and she was she was completely correct. That's exactly what happened. She just had this bout of false labour at 32 weeks, and then it stopped, and then she went right through till 41. Okay. All right. So that's kind of basically, I think that's it. Hopefully that's nice and clear. So Braxton Hicks are painless. False labour is mildly painful, but should be checked out if you're under 37 weeks. And then latent labour is having regular latent or early labour was having regular contractions that are building in increasity and frequency and length. And then once you're having 3 to 4 contractions every 10 minutes, all over a minute long, that's 3 to 4 contractions every 10 minutes, all over a minute long, that you can't talk through, then you are successfully establishing into strong active labour. And finally, there's kind of a little golden rule on all of this. If the woman herself can ring the midwife or the obstetrician to discuss the fact that she thinks that she may be in strong labour, she's not in strong labour. If she can ring herself, generally. Yeah. Okay, well, that's everything. So I wish you a wonderful rest of the week. And remember, if there's lots of free resources available at kathyfray.com. You go along to the free resource tab, click down there, and there's loads of stuff there for you. And to access my premium, detailed, comprehensive prenatal education, go to Motherwise app. So www.motherwise.app. Okay, bye everybody.